Hello, everyone. This is Navy Vet ET2 for Navy veteran, electronics technician, second class petty officer. I also had surface warfare years. But here's a video. The following report provides an analysis of the proceedings in the House of Representatives, the Senate, on the floors for February 2nd, 2026, based upon the congressional record. And Senate proceedings overview. The Senate met at 3 p.m. Presided over by President Pro Tem for Chuck Grassley. The session focused on successful passage of several full year. The session focused on successive full passage. The session focused on successful passage of several full year appropriation bills and return to regular order in budgeting. Appropriation success. Majority Leader John Thune announced that the Senate had passed 11 of the 12 full year appropriation bill, including defense, transportation, HUD, and labor HSS. The national security concerns debate touched on global threats from Russia, China, Iran, with warning about the goal to dominate the respective regions and control Arctic space. Nominations and objections. Senator Ron Wyden filed a notice of intent to object to the nomination of Sean Planke as Director of Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. Tributes. Senator Grassley honored Cara Miller on her retirement from the silos and smokestacks National Heritage Area, highlighting Iowa's agriculture history. Senator Britt recognized Antonio Parker as the February Veteran of the Month. House proceeding overview. The House focused heavily on the veterans legislations and honoring first responders through the session was marked by sharp partisan debate during the 1-minute speeches. Medal of Sacrifice, Act of 2025, H.R. 3497. This bill established Medal of Sacrifice for law enforcement, first responders killed in the line of duty, and specific names of fallen Palm Beach County deputies and initial recipients. Shown here. Here's the report. Medal of Honors, Medal of Sacrifice, Act of 2025. The bill directs the president to issue a Medal of Sacrifice for eligible law enforcement officers and first responders who are killed in the first line or in the line of duty. The bill also directs the president to establish a commission on the Medal of Sacrifice and appoint its members. The bill sets forth responsibilities of the commission, including to advise on the design of the medal and determine how the medal will be presented. Under the bill, eligible law enforcement officers and first responders included federal, state, local, tribal, or territorial law enforcement officers or first responders who are not subject to an official act of wrongdoing, i.e. determination that the officer or first responder acted outside of their duties or in a manner that was not accordance with the official policies or procedures. So a law enforcement officer or responder who is subject to an official act of wrongdoing is generally not eligible for the Medal of Sacrifice. However, it is the case of such an officer or first responder. The bill requires the commission to investigate the circumstances surrounding the officer's first responder's cause of death and issue a final determination on their eligibility. Veteran legislation. H.R. 980, the Veteran Readiness and Employment Improvement Act, introduced into the House 2025, modernized the Veteran On-Campus Experience Act 2025. The bill removes the requirement that educational and vocational counseling services provided by the Department of Veteran Affairs on campus at the Institute of Higher Learning must be provided by VA counselors. H.R. 658 expands the role of marriage and family therapists within the Veterans Health Administration. This bill establishes the eligibility requirements for the appointment of an individual in the Veterans Health Administration, VHA, as a marriage and family therapist who is qualified to provide clinical supervision in order to be appointed as a marriage and family therapist in the VHA who is qualified to provide clinical supervision. A person who must hold appropriate master's degrees and be licensed to certified and one, authorized to provide clinical supervision in the state they are licensed in. Two, be designated as an approved supervisor by the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. HR 1458, Opportunity Act, expand GI Bill benefits for skilled trade training, reported to the House 9/6 of 2025. Veteran Education and Technical Skill Opportunity 2025, the Vets Opportunity Act 2025. The bill addresses the administration of and eligibility for certain Department of Veteran Affairs, VA, educational assistance benefits and programs. The bill modifies the process for repaying service members and veterans who paid to keep benefits under the Montgomery GI Bill, but later chose to utilize post 9/11 GI Bill benefits. Specifically, the bill requires that the VA issue a repayment within 60 days of an individual's exhausting their eligibility for the post 9/11 benefits regardless of their housing stipend eligibility. The bill also modifies which independent study programs are covered under the Veterans Educational Assistance Benefits. The bill requires independent study programs that lead to a certificate that reflects graduation from a course of study to include regular and substantive interactions between students and instructors. Additionally, the bill allows such independent study programs to be offered by an instructor by an institute of higher education, including for-profit institutes that are approved to participate in the Department of Education's financial assistance program. Upon receiving orders for active service in active duty training or state active duty, the bill authorizes members of the armed forces or reserves to enter into agreement with their educational institution to complete a course of education to the satisfaction of the institution if they have completed at least half of the course. The bill extends through March 31st, 2033, a pension cap for veterans who are furnished VA domicile care. Appropriations bill, it helps the public, avoids government shutdown, and provides stability for agencies like Defense, Education. Thune noted this process spends less than a continuing resolution. Concerns or limitations. Democrats previously criticized the 43-day shutdown in the fall that delayed these benefits. Vet Opportunity Act for HR 1458 empowers veterans to transition to civilian life by funding skilled trade programs. Ranking member, this is disadvantages. Ranking member Takana warned of bad actors potentially exploiting educational benefits and oversight isn't strict. Yes. Medal of Sacrifice Act, HR 3497, provides formal national recognitions to the families of fallen first responders. The drawbacks, Mr. Scallion argued that the GOP leadership has still not installed a plaque for the officers who were defending the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Yes, that has still not been posted. The therapist qualifications 658, HR 658, increased the pool of mental health providers for veterans by remote bureaucrats barriers from therapists. The VA had previously implemented rules pushed away qualified therapists. Okay, voting record. The most significant record vote was on HR 1458, the Vets Opportunity Act, which passed under suspension of rules. The result passed 2/3 required. Notable nays, only 2 members against this measure. Representative Fletcher and Representative Self not voting. 27 members, including Representative Omar, Representative Nadler, and Representative Jalov. 1 minute. That's that. 1 minute speeches. The 1 minute speech. These speeches provide for members to address urgent local and national issues. Representative Bynum, Oregon, criticized ICE agents for tear gas and rubber bullets against protesters, including children and the elderly in Portland, calling it a state-sponsored terror. Protests in Portland, Ms. Bynum asked and was given permission to address the House for 1 minute and revise and extend her remarks. Ms. Bynum, Mr. Speaker, it is Black History Month. I came to give you hell all month. This weekend, ICE agents tear gas kids. Let me repeat that. ICE agents tear gas kids. Protesters from union families in the Portland, Oregon came together to exercise their First Amendment rights. Among the protesters were children, the elderly, even pets, and ICE saw that as enough of a threat to fire rubber bullets and pepper bells and clouds of tear gas. And I have said it before, I will say it again. What we are seeing is not law enforcement. It is state-sponsored terror, and this has to stop now. Mr. Speaker, I am calling on this administration to get out of our city and follow the law and hold those responsible for this accountable. Enough is enough. Representative Wilson from South Carolina praised South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster's state of the state address and economic success of parliamentary state. Economic growth and investment largely accurate context needed. McMaster's claim 2025 was another strong year with over 9.1 billion in new capital invested and 8,100 new jobs. Context: these numbers are generally accurate according to the economic development reports. However, Democratic Representative Jermaine Johnson argued that these success are due to federal investment in clean manufacturing, such as for electric vehicles that were backed by Democrats, which state Republicans opposed, then took credit for later. Two Americans view McMaster touted money and the means that South Carolina is growing. Representative Johnson countered that the real state of our state is what you can find in the at the kitchen table, deciding whether they can afford rent or groceries as prices skyrocket out of control. 2, educations and teachers pay accurate based upon a proposed budget. Claim: the governor wants to raise minimum starting salary to over $50,000 and move towards universal 4K. I'm not sure what that one is, but that's what it was said. Context: he noted that the minimum starting salary has risen from just over $30,000 in 2017 to $48,500 in 2026. These are accurate budgetary goals and historical figures. So they're budgeting goals. Infrastructure, population growth acknowledges crisis. Claim $1.1 billion should be set aside for roads, with South Carolina growing faster than other states, 1.5% between July 2024 to 2025. Context: this is accurate according to the U.S. Census data cited by Governor. The $1.1 billion request is an action proposal, not a current achievement, aimed at addressing the pressure this growth puts on infrastructure, water, sewer, and schools. 4, tax cuts, accurate action, debate, impact. Claim: push for further income tax cuts, aiming for complete elimination. Context: it is true that the legislator has been reducing the income tax state rate, and the McMaster's has signed these cuts. Whether this helps all South Carolinians equally or primarily benefits corporations and the wealthy is at this as a point of political debate. Criminal justice focus on policy change. Claimed called the stricter penalties for the repeated offenders and illegal gun possession. These are policies proposed, not covered, not completed achievements designed to address concerns about public safety. They haven't been approved. They just been proposed. That's a major issue, in my opinion. Summary of the debate. Governor McMaster's Republican focused on growth, low taxes, and high dollar corporate investment. Representative Johnson, Democrat, focused on poverty, the rising cost of living, low national rankings in education and health, and the impact of 22 years of Republican one-party rule. Another 1 minute speech from Representative Lee, Nevada/California, denounced the revocation of temporary protection status, TPS, for Haitians and the Project 2025 mass deportation machine. Ms. Brown, Mr. Speaker, in Springfield, Ohio, and families are preparing for the worst kind of ice storm, a storm fueled by hate and racism, years in the making. In 2024, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance peddled hateful lies about the Haitians in the Springfield. Vance even admitted to they weren't true. Vance even admitted they weren't true. He said, if I have to create stories, that is what I am going to do. Well, those stories dehumanizes Haitians who were there legally working and rebuilding the city. Now the Trump administration is turning those lines into policy. Tomorrow, they plan to revoke TPS despite Haiti's collapse. Legal status today, illegal status tomorrow. This is the Project 2025 playbook for morally corrupt mass deportation machine. For those of us with black skin, demonetization of Haitians people is something that we should see, we hear, and we feel deeply. This country must do better, and this president must extend TPS status and call off ICE surge now. Speaker Pro Tem members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personal attacks towards the president and vice president, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Representative Horsford, Nevada, as chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, CBC, he spoke on the caucus's growth to 62 members and its mission to protect community rights under the current administration. The Congressional Black Caucus, founded by 13 members, now 62 strong, we will continue to ensure that our stories, that Black history is told. Still, we rise because Black history is American history. Representative Jackson, Illinois, discussed the importance of the Constitution as a guide for the law enforcement, referenced the legacy of Selma and Birmingham protesters. African American history had a lot of parallels to what is going on in Minnesota right now. I think it is deeply disturbing, deeply troubling, the deaths that have been caused, in my view, by police excessive force, ICE agents using excessive force, the roving patrols, and the racial profiling that is taking place, all of those kinds of things we have seen before. I think we also have to be sure we understand a couple of things before moving forward. One is that the agents who worked for ICE are not warriors. They are guardians. Whether to put on camouflage, whether they put on camouflage, whether they wear masks, no matter. They work for the American people. They are guided by the Constitution, or should be guided by the Constitution. We have to make sure they understand that fully, as the protesters in Selma and Birmingham had to make sure that the lesson got across to law enforcement in Alabama and those cities at that time. Representative Still, he's a Republican from California, requests a GAO study on the scale of fraud in California, citing a lack of comprehensive data. Mr. Kiley, Republican of California, Mr. Speaker, people across the country are rightly outraged by the fraud that has been discovered in the state of Minnesota. However, for those of us in California, we have almost become desensitized to it. Every time has been a independent audit, it seems, of any program in California, that what is discovered is fraud on large scale that dwarfs anything that was discovered in Minnesota. The sources are the Congressional Record for the United States of America proceedings in the session House of Representatives, also the Senate on the floor, and the video from the floor proceedings. And I included the video of the Senate proceedings also, so you can see those. That is a quick overview of what's happening in the Senate and the House on February 2nd. So please acknowledge that, and hopefully we can keep on top of this stuff. Thank you for your time. Like, share, follow, and please remember you are loved no matter what you do. Thank you and goodbye.